Hi, I'm Nadia Dunn, your host of CCL's More Than Packages. Who are CCL? Well, CCL are an independent and neutral third-party logistics service provider and customs clearance specialist. From e-concept to e-logistics, for e-commerce, CCL has the e-solution. Now, this is a brand new episode for 2021, and we've been looking forward to this episode where we have the wonderful Christos Spyrou, CEO and founder of NAP.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Now, Christos, thank you for joining in on the discussion from the CCL team who are joining us as well. We've got Business Development Associate Jason Lee and Marketing Manager Richiko Ulrichs.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Nadia. Thanks, Christos. Nice to be here.
Now, thank you all for being here. And Christos, firstly, I'd love to hear from you. Tell us a bit about your background.
Well, I was born in Athens in 70s by Greek parents. And then I have to say I was fortunate that my father was involved in the airfreight industry. So I pretty much grew up within the air cargo community. I mean, some friends, they say that I was born on an airline pallet. But that's how everything started. My father was appointed back in 1957 as an Olympic Airways cargo manager by Aristotelis Onassis, so one of the famous shipping tycoons. So that's where he entered in the airfreight logistics industry, and then eventually during the years he set up his own airfreight forwarding company in Greece back on 1960. And then I was even more fortunate because my father's business in those days, they were representing AI International, Air Express International. One of the best, I would say, those that they know the industry, air freight forwarders in all times. So I was fortunate since I was 15, 16, I was visiting their offices in UK, United States, in Germany. So that gave me pretty much a lot of experience starting at such a young age. I was working during the summer, so it was very important for me.
And travelling from such a young age as well.
Traveling from such a young age, so that gave me, I would say, a lot, the experience actually that I got. And then I was also fortunate moving to China, pretty young, I would say, 28, 30 years old. And this is where I pretty much discovered a different culture, a different way of conducting airfreight business. And that was actually the best experience I ever had during the years. It was 50 years in Asia was pretty much important for me and my career moving forward.
Christos, can you tell us a bit about the NAP network? How did it start?
I moved to China for 15 years, and this is where I discovered that the airfreight forwarders, they all had an identity based on airline specialization and a trade lane. And then at the same time, it was when the word logistics became trendy. So everybody became ABC or YYZ logistics, but it was very difficult to identify the transportation mode, the industry expertise and specialization. So the idea behind NAP was that since the word logistics became trendy, the industry has lost its identity as far as specialization and sub-industry expertise concerns. So we wanted to come up with a network exclusively air cargo sales focused and acquiring members defined by expertise either on airlines or specific trade lanes and various verticals. So that's pretty much how NAP started the idea.
So are you responsible for making air freight trendy?
Well, difficult to say, but...
And there must be a few interesting stories on your journey to creating the network. Can you tell us about a few of those?
Yes, I would say the most interesting story is before I took the decision to start with a network, I had a very good position in one of the large global organizations as director of airfreight in Asia. So, it's not that easy when we're having such a good position and you're running Asia and multiple P&Ls and offices. It's not easy to take a decision to move away from the day-to-day freight forwarding business and launch a network. So what I did, actually, I took that decision together with my family. Actually, one of the reasons was we wanted to have a better quality of life. So once we had our first baby girl, we thought that, and after so many years in China, we thought about changing a bit our life. And then the interesting story is like, the idea was, once we launched the company in Hong Kong, Mutual a Partner, was to move into Cape Town in South Africa and live there and work from there, developing Mutual Apartment at the same time, conducting some advisory solutions, some consulting for advanced airfare consolidation management to the South African industry and in general in Africa. But actually we couldn't get a visa those days, and while we were applying for the visa, we decided that we make a short break in Greece, waiting to see when to move. Eventually visa never came, and then we found ourselves living in Greece and running the association pretty much from Greece and in different parts of the world. We have an office in Shanghai now, in Dubai, in States, in Philippines. So that's pretty much one of the interesting stories, where you change completely what you have in your mind, and you end up in a different continent, in a different city to start a new business.
And you're still there.
I'm still here. Yes.
Yeah. And I wouldn't move at the moment by the sounds of the weather there. It's the best place to be.
That is correct. Indeed, we're very lucky recently.
Yeah.
Now, we know that NAP is a special network, but what do you do compared to your competitors?
Yeah, okay, that I would say, to me is a kind of a simple answer. We are the only air cargo focused organization at this really moment. And it's not only about air cargo in general, but we appoint and we define our members based on verticals and industry expertise. That's pretty much number one. That makes it a bit special. It's all about air cargo. And number two, I would say we focus more in quality, not in quantity. So our vision from the beginning was not to become the largest association in the world. No way. It was to create, I would say, a platform of like-minded specialists and quality companies from the air cargo logistics community.
And Jason and Richiko, you guys know the NAP network, obviously, and have been working alongside them. What do you think that they bring that their competitors can't?
Yeah, I think, as Christos just mentioned, I have actually attended 3 of the events already. So my feeling is that the quality of the agents that's in this network is much higher. And I think also it's the way that they organize all the activities when the event is happening that really kind of create a very close-knit community, sense of community within the network. So we kind of know each other very well. So that really helps, business know each other. And then I think every business starts with, making friends. If you made friends with, your network members, it doesn't matter you can have that business immediately. It's not always the case, but you will always know that person and then establish a relationship. Later on, the business will come when the opportunity arises. So that's something I really appreciate from this network.
Yes, I totally agree. You feel very connected within that network. And like you said, everyone kind of feels like a friend. And I guess, exactly. That's the start of how a lot of businesses start.
So, yeah, great. And Richiko?
Yes, the same. I've never had the opportunity to attend a networking event with NAP Alive, unfortunately. So I think under current circumstances, it might look like that's a little whiles away. So I'm just curious to understand from Christos as well with regards to the networking events that Jason was talking about. It's always been a key part of CCL's net strategy in terms of marketing. How has NAP had to adapt in the past year to a different approach to networking and events with the challenges that we've had?
Yeah, thank you. That's a good question. And indeed, at the beginning, I have to admit, we were a bit puzzled. I was not pretty much a believer of, at the very beginning of the online networking. I'm a believer that freight is people's business, and that's where we have to concentrate. However, we had to adapt. There was no other way. So at the beginning, what we did was we created a series of a webinar series called NAP on Air, and that was twice a month. So the idea behind was to bring vendors from the industry, I mean from airlines, IT providers, and creating some workshops that we discuss all the members all together, the challenges and the opportunities the air freight market is facing post COVID-19. So I think we're pretty much successful with that. We did 7 or 8 webinars. That was on the second quarter of the year, of last year. And then very recently, we organized our first NAP on Air conference, or online conference, and also one-to-one video meetings with the participants. I think we were pretty successful. We had more than 300 participants on the one-to-one meetings, and same amount of viewers on our conferences and presentations of airlines, of members, of our new products and what we want to do. But again, it's not the same. It was a challenge, a technological challenge, I would say, as well. We learn every day. Certainly, the second one will be much better in terms of quality. But if you ask me, I'm really looking forward for September all together to meet in Bali. And I wouldn't mind if I don't have any online conference anymore. But obviously we learned a lot. We will keep on continuing with the webinars. I think it is really important because in our industry, you have a lot of people that are behind the desk. And those people do not have the opportunity to travel and go to all the conferences. But they're a very important part of the business of each of our members. So at least the online meeting gives that opportunity to operation people, to sales people behind the desk that don't have the opportunity to travel, to meet, with the people that they email, sometimes 10 or 20 times a day and get a better feel, and that helps them to develop their business, I would say, on a better way.
Thanks, Christos. And so on these online webinars and conferences that you've kind of adapted and created, can you just tell us about how you would normally do those kind of conferences and what events do you normally organise? Okay, so
since we started, we pretty much had 4 conferences that we started. We have a different, as NAP, we also have a different, I would say, business model, or if you can put it as a financial business model than other associations. I mean, if you look at the other logistics network, which are very generic, very general, they focus on actually to generate revenue and gross margin from the events. For us, it's not. And those that have been in our events, those of you will realize that it's not an event where the organization is trying to make money out of it. Actually, we're using the events in order to generate more opportunities for the members and eventually long-term for the network, because everything goes mouth to mouth. So the main objective is to bring the right vendors and the right people, the right professionals from the air cargo logistics community, I would say, and then the members to be able to acquire extensive knowledge from industry experts and professionals on what is happening in our industry and the challenges and the opportunity. We want to create a kind of we're creating training workshops, not technical, but more about the product and how to assist our members to develop new verticals or new products. Either that could be e-commerce and express and get real e-commerce logistics as CCL is doing. That's something that a lot of members would like to acquire, more knowledge into that. That could be a vertical, that could be pharma, that could be automotive, aerospace. So we create a lot of workshops, we talk, we discuss, and our aim is the members to leave that conference having acquired an extensive knowledge for a new product. That is one, I would say, of our objectives.
Obviously, as we said before, it's people's business, good networking, become a friend at the end. And that's pretty much our mission is we're not just partners, but at the end we become friends.
Absolutely. And now, Jason, I know you said you've been to, was it 4 of these?
Yeah, 3 of the events. So yeah, I still remember the first time I was attending the event. Actually, I was invited to to be a speaker. So I think that's the first time we know that they have a special division for e-commerce and express shipment. So I was kind of invited as a speaker to talk about how customs clearance works in the UK and Europe. That I was still quite. I wasn't an expert at that point, so that was a learning curve for me as well. But it was such a good experience, and I think that's something we really appreciate of this network is that they gave network members the opportunity to showcase their capabilities and also, let those market leaders to share their experience and their insights on the industry. So I think that's a really good way of helping network members learn from each other and benefit from the experience, and also potentially having a lot of new businesses as well.
And Ruchiko, unfortunately, you haven't been to one of those events, so it sounds like you should get your name on the list for Bali. Fingers crossed it goes.
We'll definitely be up for that, yes.
Now, Christos, is there an event that you're particularly proud of, and why?
That's a good question. I can't say because, we're only 4 years organization, so every event is different. The first one was the kickoff meeting in Abu Dhabi. So where I had to invite all of these friends and partners that I knew, that I was pushing them, trying to sell them my idea. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to sell an idea and you have to convince him to invite him to the first conference, and then you have to showcase what we have built, what is our vision, our mission, and our objectives moving forward. So that was special because you feel very good at the end when you have 80, 90 people coming on in a kickoff meeting. So Abu Dhabi was pretty much special. Then Kuala Lumpur was special as well because it was our first official meeting, and then we had to showcase all our new products, all our investments we did in our IT, and all the hard work we put behind the organization. And that was also special because after that it was the real kickoff, where we really had some products in place and making the organization much more attractive for the air cargo logistics community. The most challenging one was in Punta Mita in Mexico, because it was a challenge, a logistical challenge, I would say, because we had people we had to move from all over the world into Mexico. It was really, really different, especially in Punta Mita and Puerto Vallarta. Lots of transits, logistical, of shipping all our advertising materials out of China. Some of our teams, they lost the flights or they had problems with the visa. That was pretty much a challenge, but it was also special because it was so expensive for an organization 1 year old to invite members all the way to St. Regis in Punta Mita in Mexico. It's really expensive. I mean, if you take all the flights, if you take all the cost of the hotel. So it was special from us. Definitely we had an amazing time, but it was very special where I started to believe, okay, what we're creating starts to make some value. People are spending money on that. That means that we are in the right direction. So that's what I'm saying. It's very difficult to.
I mean, obviously, if you have to ask me, the best one would be the last one in Mykonos, where after 4 years, I think we had fun, most important, but we also, as an organization, after 3 years, we were able really to showcase all our products and our vision and what we have done so far. And I feel that was the conference where made the kind of a clicked, and people started talking about. After that meeting, we saw, I would say, a huge increase, mouth to mouth, member to member, partner to partner. We really saw an increase of companies wanting to join Mutual Air Partners. So yes, I think Mykonos is the one that I think we made the kind of an impact. We made networking a bit more trendy, not the typical Thailand and Southeast Asia like cheap hotels, but more like, you know, bringing back to the air cargo logistics industry. I would say, don't get me wrong, a kind of an upgrade. I would say upgrade in terms of people and the meetings and the all the networking functions that we had. I think it was just awesome. It was just great.
Well, I can certainly vouch for that I was at the Mykonos event as well, and it was incredible. And that's the great thing about the NAP events, that you work really hard and you meet so many people and gain so many connections, but you also have so much fun. And that's something that you guys are so good at setting up and enabling those people who are spending their own money to get there, and they have such a great time, and it's great for their business. And I heard it on that event and other events, how many people have made new connections and got new business, and it's all down to those kind of events. So
that is true. That is true. And I have to say at the very beginning, we were also a bit puzzled if we should take that direction, because from day one, our direction was like high-end hotels, make our members feel important, destinations all over the world, you know, not just looking for a cheap one. So pretty much Mutual Air Partners as a network is pretty much expensive, and the events we organize, they're not cheap, it's expensive. But our philosophy was, and me personally being in the business for so many years, on the day-to-day freight business, if you don't pay for something, you don't put the effort to take something out of it.
When something is too cheap, people don't pay attention, don't put the efforts. So it was a bit of a risk, because considering, I mean, the industry is just looking all of these other general logistics networks and they see the prices, but what we were delivering, it's something unique. It's something, I would say, more classy, more upgrade. We want to make our members feel special. So it is expensive. At the end, it worked. At the beginning, I have to admit, it was are we not too expensive? How would that feel if an application for a travel goes to a desk of a manager and they see St. Regis or Ritz-Carlton in Mykonos or in Punta Mita in Mexico and Caribbean? So we're a bit thinking if that would at the end make sense. But it worked. So we're very happy with that, and we will certainly continue into that direction. So, we're looking into upgrade, I would say, our networking within our industry.
Well, that's great news for everyone else who's going to attend those events.
Yeah, so, I want to ask Christos a question, on behalf of all the e-commerce operators, people, logistic providers who is more focused on the cross-border e-commerce industry. Of course, CCL has already been a participant over the years, so we kind of know the benefits and everything. But I think do you mind, sharing a little bit more, like for business like CCL, how would we benefit from joining your network?
Yes, that's a good question, Jason. Certainly, once we started on year 2, we already launched 4 sub-industry groups. So we pretty much split the air cargo in 4, and then we had NAC, Neutral Air Consolidators, where we gathered all these type of air freight providers that they operate as a neutral broker and a wholesaler and consolidator, particularly in China and in Asia, where you have those type of master co-loaders. So we wanted to consolidate, group together this type of business. So we had, our first group was NAC, Neutral Air Consolidator, sub-industry group. Then we took over the express and the e-commerce providers. So we started with NAX Express and e-commerce, and the idea behind was to consolidate together all of these local and independent express and e-commerce players, get them together, get a group of people speaking the same business language, so there is an opportunity of doing business together. But at the same time, and more important, if you say that we started with 10, 15, 20 e-commerce specialists like CCL, at the same time, we have another 200, 300 general air freight players that they're moving e-commerce only just a commodity from airport to airport. And they had a lot of requests to develop e-commerce, but it's a different business. So that helped them a lot. So companies like CCL, I would say they have two kind of hats. As a member to develop business with like-minded express and e-commerce specialists, certainly, but also as a vendor, because a lot of all the other members, they're looking to acquire extensive knowledge from companies like yourselves. They have clients requiring final mile solutions and e-commerce and gateway e-commerce, gateway solutions and logistics. So basically, these type of members like CCL, at the same time, they also operate as a vendors, because they're giving information, they're giving knowledge, they I would say they train all the other general air freight companies how to handle and move quality e-commerce shipments.
So I guess basically NAP is kind of grouping all the moving parts of the whole supply chain of e-commerce together to provide, for example, like an economic service. And we're competing with integrators like DHL, FedEx, to provide a different solution to the e-commerce retailer.
Absolutely.
Who wants to sell overseas. Yeah,
absolutely. I have to admit, it will take a while. E-commerce logistics is pretty much misunderstood. A lot of companies, they're saying they're doing e-commerce, but as I said before, they're just moving e-commerce as a commodity, airport to airport, just issuing an aerobill. But they have no clue how to enter to the entire gateway logistics and distributions and the technology that is required behind. And this is where you, CCL, and companies like yourselves can step up and make a difference on the NAX Express group. And I'm very confident, over the next years, it's going to get better and better with more quality members.
Yeah, I'm sure about that as well, because CCL, we have been focusing on this area for over the last decades already. So we have structured our business around e-commerce traffic. We have even developed our in-house technology to help, automate customs clearance process and also automate the tax payment collection solutions for all sorts of business. And we're also developing our own return handling solution for all of our customers. So I'm sure CCL will be, in the future even, will be a great, we're not only a network member, but also we are a partner of NAP to provide our expertise in this area.
Certainly. And yes, we see CCL as a core partner, particularly in the development of the express and e-commerce logistics. Without you, we wouldn't be here.
Is that the sort of future relationship you envisage?
Absolutely.
That's great to know.
And Ruchiko, do you have anything to add about the benefits that CCL can bring to the NAP network?
Yeah, I think we're certainly very much looking forward to 2021 and participating in the networking events again in live capacity. I think it's always been a key strategy of CCL to network and make the connections within the industry. And I think I speak for all of us to say that 2020 was a tough year for all of us. We've certainly participated in a number of virtual events ourselves last year. I think to have to say with mixed results, and I do fully agree with Christos that we try our best, but it's not the same. So we certainly we can't wait to be part of the network again live in the next year and make the connections that we used to make before in in those events.
And it has been a difficult time for so many people. And could you tell us what you've done to support your members during this time?
When everything started back in February, March, there was a bit of a panic in the air, particularly with the air freight of the PPE goods all around the world, and the masks and all the supportive equipment, medical supplies, and so on. So the first thing we did was to create an alert, a daily or a weekly alert for our members, where we're posting capacity on airlines, on block space agreements, part or full charters. That was very important because there was a panic in the air. There was no space, there was no capacity, a lot of movements, particularly on masks. So the first thing we did was to create a centralized 24/7, I would say, centralized service center and a procurement center for all our members, where we had vendors, cargo airlines, charter brokers, ACMI operators, and then we were purchasing on behalf of our members a cargo capacity on part and full charters. And I think that helped a lot our members. We were exchanging information, who has that space, that destination, that origin, and that pretty much helped them to move, particularly the PPE business and the medical supplies during March, April, and May. But at the same time, there were a lot of, I would say, misinformation, particularly out of China, for the shipments of medical supplies. So we wanted to be clear and send weekly updates and information about confiscation issues with the masks between different countries or on transit and destination airports, about customs regulations, about debt penalties.
When you should pay and when you should not pay, what do you need to be aware when you make a deal with a charter broker or an airline, or when you sign a debt freight space agreement. So a lot of small information. Obviously, also we had to solve a lot of disputes between our members because there was a lot of business going on. Thankfully, we solved everything. But this is where I believe that we made a difference. We thought, okay, now those times our members, they need help, and they're busy with the day-to-day business. They're busy having a customer, on the phone every day, urgent. So now we have to help them, not the traditional networking way, but we got to find a solution, create a centralized procurement center for airlines, charter brokers, and ACMI operators and vendors. Send cargo capacity alerts on a daily basis through emails and mobile app. Create news with tips for air freight quote management. What do you have to do as a priority? All of this together, I think our members at the end they appreciated what we did. That was the part on the first 3 months, which the panic, like the real panic that we had within the air freight industry. There were no capacity and no passenger airlines were flying. That was in the first 3 months, and then pretty much that came back to, I wouldn't say normal, but back to a new normal. The second thing then that we did,
and I have to say, we feel very proud of that. Neutral and partner, we and me personally, we I entered as in TIACA as an executive board member, the International Air Cargo Association, and then neutral and partner within TIACA, within the International Air Cargo Association, represents the small and medium-sized air freight logistics providers that do not have the opportunity to be around regulators and association of the entire air cargo industry. So that was pretty much for us very important, because now we have voice in the executive board of the TIACA to represent not only our members, but the entire small and medium-sized air cargo logistics community. At the same time, we, Neutral Partner and me personally, we are part of the transformation task force of TIACA for a new air cargo association, more modernized, and we were part of that. And most importantly, I would say, and we feel really proud of that, we were part of the Project Sunrise. That was an initiative of the International Air Cargo Association and Pharma Aero to create a group of airports, airlines, air freight forwarders, ground handling agents, the entire air cargo supply chain, to create guidelines for the safe transport, handle and storage of the COVID-19 vaccines. So to create transparency between pharma shippers and the entire cargo supply chain, and then create guidelines and white papers. So we're very proud we're a part of that, together with 6, 7 more organizations, 8 altogether. And we informed all our members with all the guidelines from A to Z. What do you need to do? How do you get involved into the vaccines business? How it starts with the clinical trials, all kind of guidelines, regulations. What do you need to check?
So this is, I believe, the best thing we did for our network and for the industry, because within a year we moved from the PPE goods to the transportation of the vaccines. So obviously we had to change very quickly. So we were involved in all of these, I would say, important initiatives for our industry, and we feel very good about that, and I hope that members they do as well.
Well, and it sounds like it's been a really busy time for you with all of that going on, and communication, I guess, is the key, and that all of your members still feel like in a challenging time like that they still know what's going on and everything's being communicated very well.
So, Christos, lastly, if you were to go to a desert island, what book or film would you take with you?
I would take Castaway and Wilson, the film, so I can learn how to survive from the end.
And still be able to play basketball.
Exactly.
Right, well, it was so lovely to speak to you. Thank you so much for joining us today, and to Ruchiko and Jason as well.
And thank you for joining the CCL More Than Packages podcast, our first one of 2021. And we're looking forward to speaking to you again soon. Now, we hope everyone listening enjoyed the show and found it useful. And until next time, take care and remember, CCL are much more than packages.